What is up, everybody? My name is Chassidy. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today, as the title suggests, I am sharing with you my Netflix recommendations. You want to be here for this, okay? So the first show that I want to recommend to you, if you haven't already seen it, is Ozark. Ozark is a crime drama. It's starring Jason Bateman, who I really like. I love his kind of dry sense of humor. Jason Bateman plays a character called Marty. And Marty is basically like this really smart financial guy who gets involved with laundering money for the Mexican cartel. I know you're thinking, what could go wrong laundering money for the Mexican cartel? So his partner basically ends up screwing him over, and in turn, to try and save his life, he has to uproot his family from Chicago and move down to Ozark, which is obviously why the show is called Ozark. It's like this town or city that's kind of like in the middle of nowhere. Not a lot of people in the town. Like, everybody pretty much knows each other. Like, it's just not a place that you want to uproot your family from, in a city to move down to. So anyways, the whole show is basically about Marty just trying to stay afloat. Like, he just keeps running into different crazy people, really tight deadlines, and just obstacles after obstacles after obstacles that he has to try and, conquer or succeed at, basically in order for him and his family to stay alive. So there's 3 seasons on Netflix. If you have not already watched it, which I really feel like you should have. I feel like everybody's seen Ozark, and if they haven't, what's wrong with you? So anyways, that is the first one I recommend, Ozark. So the second show that I want to recommend to you is my all-time favorite show on Netflix. I love this show, and it is called Grace and Frankie. Grace and Frankie is a comedy. It's starring these 2 older women who are just polar opposites, totally different from each other, but become best friends because their husbands leave them for each other. So Grace is like this really put together, really cares about her appearances and very thoughtful and witty. And Frankie is like this total hippie, just goes with the flow, forgets everything. Like, they're totally opposite people and hilarious. They are so funny, and their children are hilarious. Gosh, what else can I say about it? Basically, they're just navigating life together, and it's just funny. So there are 6 seasons on Netflix, and I'll tell you one thing. The only thing I do not like about this show is the moment a season comes out, I binge watch it so quickly, and then you have to wait forever for a new season. So that's literally the only thing I do not like about this show. I absolutely love it. It's very lighthearted, just very fun to watch. So the third show that I want to recommend to you, which is totally opposite from Grace and Frankie, is called You. So You, as defined online, is an American psychological thriller. It is totally interesting. It is about this guy named Joe who is very average, like a normal, everyday kind of guy. He doesn't really stand out for any reason. He works in a bookstore, and ultimately he's a serial killer. He ends up falling in love with this woman and becomes just totally obsessed and does the craziest things in order to get this woman to fall for him. It is so interesting because you're just, at first you're kind of like, wow, this guy's really creepy, and then you find yourself kind of cheering for him. Like, the writers did an excellent job. It really grabs you. There are only 2 seasons. Both seasons are really interesting. So yeah, if you haven't already seen it, you have to see You. Okay, so the next show that I want to recommend to you is Don't F with Cats. Okay, the title sounds crazy and not something that you would normally want to click on. But listen, it is so interesting and so creepy and so sad. Like, it is just everything all mixed in one. It is a true crime documentary, so this really did happen. It's kind of just develops from, the talk of killing cats into killing people, basically. What I will say is they don't actually show any cats being hurt. Super creepy, super interesting. I definitely recommend watching it. Okay, so the 5th show that I want to recommend to you is actually a really popular one. Is it for everybody? No, because it's kind of more like a new age soap opera, if we're being honest. And that is Grey's Anatomy. I know you've heard of Grey's Anatomy, but I feel like while we're on quarantine, if you run out of stuff to watch, Grey's Anatomy is a great one to jump into. Basically, the show is about a bunch of doctors in a hospital. There's one large behind the scenes storyline following along with the doctors' actual lives, but every episode has its own individual storyline. Grey's Anatomy has like 16 seasons, and every season has like 24 episodes, and they're not done making it. Like, there's more seasons coming. So there's a lot of episodes. Why I recommend Grey's Anatomy? Well, first of all, I'm a real Grey's Anatomy fan. So every time there's a new episode, I watch it. I stay up to date with it. If you've never watched it before, I think it's great to get into kind of as like a filler. You want to put something on the TV and let it play where you can kind of pay attention to, but it won't be the end of the world if you really miss anything. That's what Grey's Anatomy is. And to be honest, you don't even have to start with season 1 unless you got a lot of time to burn, okay? You can start at season 6 and pick up with what's going on. So I absolutely love Grey's Anatomy. Maybe that's a guilty pleasure. It is definitely a new age soap opera. But like I said, I think it is a great filler show. Okay, so the next show that I want to recommend is called Money Heist. So I'll be totally honest, in the very beginning, this was kind of hard for me to get into because originally Money Heist was like a Spanish drama and they ended up converting it into English. So in other words, the people on the screen their mouths are speaking in Spanish, but English is coming out. So the words that are being spoken in their mouths do not line up, which is kind of hard to get by. But if you can, which I say try and stick it out, it is very interesting. So this main guy, they call him the professor, is extremely intelligent and put together this huge plan to rob like these really large banks. Well, there's two banks. I'm pretty sure the first one's a bank. The second one is for sure a bank. I'm gonna assume the first one's a bank. Anyways, he put together this team of people from all over the world with different specialties and send them into this bank while he was on the outside just kind of orchestrating everything. Like, it is so, it kind of sounded like Ocean's movie, didn't it? But anyways, it is very, very interesting and very entertaining, and it will suck you in. There are 2 seasons, 31 episodes. Highly, highly recommend. If I were to put these top 10 in order, it would be in the top 3 for sure. So the next show that I want to recommend to you is Working Moms. So Working Moms is a comedy series. It is very lighthearted. It's easy to follow. I feel like you always have to have a few shows that are kind of, if you miss something, no big deal, but something to kind of break up the ones that really make you think, you know what I'm saying? So anyways, Working Moms is about exactly what the title says, a bunch of working moms and the everyday struggles of being a parent. And it is just funny. Like, it tells the truth in the show, but in a very light way, in a funny way. It follows a few different moms and their stories, and yeah. Was that a good explanation? Like, it's not very intricate. It's exactly what it sounds like. So yeah, I really enjoy it. Again, very lighthearted, a good filler series. Okay. The next show, again, another top 3, maybe, would I say Grace and Frankie was my top 1? This might be my top 1, tied with Grace and Frankie. No, Grace and Frankie might be number 2. This might be my number 1. I don't know. Anyways, the next show that I recommend to you is Blacklist. I love Blacklist. So I really like shows like Grey's Anatomy or Law and Order or Scandal used to be like this, but where it's a series and there is a theme behind the whole show. The characters have their own storyline that you follow, but every episode has its own story. I really love shows like that, and that's exactly how Blacklist plays out. Okay, so basically it's about this man. His name is Reddington. We call him Red, okay? Red is like this really big criminal who is like #1 on the most wanted list. He has been escaping law enforcement for years and years and years. And basically what happens is he ends up working with the FBI and he becomes an informant for the FBI. And what he does is basically he's snitching on other criminals. Isn't Isn't that what he's doing? He is. He is. So he's helping the FBI solve all of these crimes. Ultimately, he has his own agenda and his reasons why he's giving up all of these criminals, and I love it. It is just so good. So there are 6 seasons that are on Netflix, and they've already done a season 7, but it is not on Netflix yet. And when I say I love Blacklist so much, we ended up renting season 7 and watching it in a weekend. So yes, I highly recommend Blacklist. Okay, so the next series that I recommend to you is Dynasty. So this show is just a mess. It's a total mess, but it is very entertaining. Basically, it's about this rich family who are just very dysfunctional and always trying to like one-up each other, but then support each other at the same time. It sounds very Empire now that I'm saying this out loud. There's not much to say about it. It's just a mess. Dysfunctional, rich family who do whatever they want, when they want, but then are trying to like one up and be all kind of powerful, and it is just entertaining, okay? So again, it's another one of those ones where you don't have to, you know, be really sucked into it. So if you got kids running around, it's not like they're gonna mess you up or make you miss anything. It's one of those that you can kind of just let play. Okay, so the last thing I wanna recommend to you is a romantic comedy. It's called The Lovebirds. So The Lovebirds is starring Issa Rae, and we all love us some Issa Rae, so that should be enough to entice you to watch it anyways. But basically this movie is kind of a play or very similar to Steve Carell's Date Night, if you've seen that. And basically Issa and her man, they go out on one last date and the night just goes crazy. It is so funny. I will be totally honest with you, when I watched it, I was a few cocktails in, but I was laughing the whole night. So maybe if you watch it, maybe you need to have a few cocktails too. If you've seen it sober, let me know your review. Let me know your review if you've seen it sober. But when I watched it on a date night with my man and we had a few cocktails, I was cracking up. So I would definitely recommend it. There are a couple honorable mentions that I want to talk about, if I could just throw these in really quickly. The Last Dance, Michael Jordan. I feel like everybody watched that because we were, you know, missing out on sports. But if for some reason you didn't and you're into sports, The Last Dance was really good. Also, The Last Chance U. I've seen every single one. So basically the show follows these young men, these young football players. They're at a junior college. They're just trying to get one more chance to either go to a big time college or to go into the league. But yeah, it's really interesting. So if you're into sports, that's another one that I would recommend. And guilty pleasure, Love is Blind. That's another one. It's not one that I would sit down with my man and watch. He wasn't having it. Like, this is one that I watched on my own. But basically it's about a bunch of people who date without seeing each other and end up proposing. Yes. Not like, hey, will you be my girlfriend? Will you be my boyfriend? Proposing. Let's get married on the show without ever seeing each other. And then it follows a little bit of their journey when they finally meet each other after they've proposed already. So that's a guilty pleasure and something else I recommend if you like stuff like that. And last but not least, I am currently watching Queen of South and Quantico. Quantico? Is that how you say it? So we're actually bouncing back and forth between both of them. The thing is, so far, both of them are very interesting. Let me know in the comments below if you've seen either one of them. The issue is you have to pay attention. So if my baby is running around, if I need to give her attention, if I have work to do and I have to really focus on something else, I can't watch either of them. So it's taken us a while to get, I mean, we're also watching 2 shows at once, but it's taken us a while to get through them just because you actually really have to pay attention. So if you got time, maybe give those ones a try. Okay, and that's it. I know I said only 10, but I just dropped an extra couple jewels. If you've seen any of those, let me know in the comments below whether you like them or if you didn't like them. If you haven't seen any and you're gonna watch them, let me know which ones you're gonna watch. If you've seen some of those and you kind of know what type of shows I like, give me some recommendations below. I pretty much have beat Netflix, if I'm being honest with you. So I've probably seen everything on Netflix, but I have like Prime Video and Hulu and I have cable, okay? Let me know. Let's talk about it, okay? Let's talk about it. Leave a comment below. And of course, the last thing that I will say, if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. I have new Fit Mommy and Lifestyle videos every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Until next time, bye.